Hello and welcome back to Disco Elysium with myself.
You see that seagull up there? Remind you of anybody?
No one comes to mind.
You and the seagull are just alike.
Why am I like
Think
the
about the
seagull?
seagull's story. It's one of endurance and adaptation. The seaside was paradise once. They were birds of that paradise. Then their paradise became shit city. And what did they do? They became urban survivors, eating burgers out of trash cans, killing and eating pigeons. No time for that sentimental bullshit. They're hustlers, getting shit done. They're one pair of track pants away from gangsters, just like you.
Fucking hero, wherever it takes 5, I am the
Own
seagull.
it. Steal hot dogs, shit in the sand, whatever it takes to keep going.
You're right, white belly cormorant stares at you suspiciously. It feels like the shadow of a very large building falls on you. Dusty pews in the shadows seem to be things missing. Altered shroud dark something that is too dark to tell. Read St. Brendan 1147.
Heavy wooden doors, more than twice your height, stand shut in front of you. The rectangular sea-worn ornamentation appears in stark contrast to the padlock, carelessly drilled into the wood.
Open the padlock with a key.
The lock turns easily. You hear a click as the shackle pops open. Feels like electricity and a very small piece of nothingness.
Let's go.
A
Pull the
great
door
rush of
open.
air rushes into the dark innards of the church, as though rushing to fill a great vacuum. In the heart of the city,
Okay, where am I? Strange stillness fills you as you look ahead and see that you should walk here, not run. More of the forked lightning pattern you saw outside. Dark bark beetle? No, it was like international, some long forgotten symbol. No. Grotesque wooden figure looks half finished. A bowl is filled with water. A live wire runs directly into it. Could these wires work as conducting microphones?
the silence in this part of the church, it's almost palpable. All the shifting matter and shuffling of living things is gone. Nothing seems to exist beyond the church anymore. Maybe if you were to stand in just the right spot, even your footsteps would be completely silent.
Wait, I think I still hear something.
And then it's gone. Almost all of it, but for the faintest of hums. It seems the sound here is detached from its source somehow, if not blotted out outright. Truly unusual. You can hardly hear your own breathing.
Yell as loud as you
Your
can.
voice is barely audible. Not a howl, but the softest of whimpers.
Stomp your feet and clap your
You
hands.
produce a few muffled thumps, after which the silence feels even more total, somehow.
What's
The
happening?
lieutenant points to his ears and shakes his head. Then he leans closer.
Can you hear anything?
Almost nothing. It's beginning to worry
The
me.
church just has strange acoustics, some engineering trick.
Maybe the church was designed this way to prevent boisterous activity, singing and dancing on its premises.
Maybe they wanted to discourage singing and dancing.
Could be.
He doesn't seem entirely convinced, though.
Look up at the bell
The
tower.
orderly rows of ceiling panels become barely visible, then disappear completely in the darkness of the tower overhead.
Try to see beyond the shadows.
Just darkness without end. It makes your head spin.
What's the darkness like?
Filled with vague shapes of woodwork, the sense of a great height.
Try to make out something, anything.
There's nothing. You're dizzy and disoriented as you see dark and more dark rising.
Officer, what are you looking at?
Blink.
You see something hanging from the rafters, looking straight at you with dark eyes. Maybe it's possible to talk to it.
Blackboard shows complex equations under radio frequencies. 2 decks of real tapes spin on empty. Gold wind blows into a broken gallery, making your skin crawl. Portable hum and wows at tape recorder. It's possible to be recording something?
A machine stands in the corner, watched over by the figures on the stained glass window. It's turned on and quivering with soft electricity.
A radio computer. And it's turned on.
These machines sometimes harbor traps, he thinks. Alarm systems and the like. Let's be careful.
We should leave. I doubt this place bears any connection to the case.
Yeah, but what is this strange machine? Point at it.
A radio computer. We have one down at the station. No, I don't know how to operate it or what it's used for. Let's go.
This is the Ream Prefect radio computer, a model number RC7024, equipped with a Feld mainframe and a Ream-compatible interim printer. The Ream Prefect is the governmental version of the commonly used Ream Civic model. Although mostly based on the same technology, the Ream Prefect is equipped with better noise attenuation circuits.
Wait, let me just investigate. Step behind the
You see
computer.
fluorescent play and print buttons on the keyboard. A hatch connected to the central compartment is wide open. The lieutenant says nothing. You see the machine's glowing frame reflected back from his diamond-shaped glasses. You're free to proceed.
Look inside the
Behind
compartment.
the hatch sits a cube-like crisscross of filaments, smoldering in the dark like fireflies. Silver tape on the side says, in black marker, log, February to March. Another filament memory. Press play to talk with the repeater. A bar of fabric right above the keyboard starts producing a soft hum. The sound of static seeps through the machine's planar magnetic driver. The static gets louder, slowly filling up the abandoned hall until a voice speaks out, crackling and old, cutting into the air.
Good evening. Votre accident on Saint-Brune. This is the East Insulindian Repeater Station 1. Please repeat. Is this the personal log?
This is a human interface. A retired person sitting behind a switchboard somewhere.
What's the personal log?
The filament you have inserted into the core.
You mean the glowing thing with a tape on it that says log February to March?
I don't know. That's what I'm asking. Is this the personal log?
Yes.
Good. Please repeat the password.
Let's look around. There's no use trying to guess the answer.
There's a piece
I
of
am contractually obliged to protect the privacy of the filament holder for stress accident. Without filing a warrant with Intel, I cannot give you access to this filament.
I'm afraid we are not doing that. Unless we want to wait for a month.
Now, can you please repeat the password?
I'm a password. I'm really bad for this. Can you give me a hint?
No.
A hint system is not part of the protocol for repeater stations.
I don't know the password.
Received. I will register this login attempt. Fortress accident. Is there anything else I can do for you today?
Fortress accent sounds familiar.
The company on whose name the terminal you're currently using has been registered to.
Do you have any other information about this company?
One moment.
Yeah, flip for a catalog before she reads out with studious care.
Fortress Accident SCS produces revolutionary interactive call-in radio games. That's what the catalog says.
That's not bad.
Wow, so conceptual.
I wouldn't know. I'm only here for passwords.
And what's that, this interactive call-in radio game?
Any other questions?
What are you, a machine or you're alive?
Yes, I am alive. I am 74 years old and my name is Yvonne.
She repeats passwords. Programming people are paranoid.
Even my partner here tells me that you're here because radio computer guys are all paranoid.
They're merely cautious. It's my job to protect their filaments as a password repeater at the East Elysium station.
On an island on the river Esperance, a small woman, all skin and bones, sits in a room filled with audio equipment. Thousands of tiny lights are reflected back from her prescription lenses, like stars in the dark.
Now, please tell me if there's anything else I can do for you for stress accident.
Thanks, but I'm finished with this call. Press off silent.
Sleep well for stress accident.
She says as her voice disappears into a whirl of static.
The machine's keyboard is still illuminated, revealing fluorescent play and print buttons.
Press print.
Nothing happens.
Leave.
Guillaume Lemillion. Bad news. Guillaume Lemillion did not become a cop. In 1938, he went on a tour to the Sinyao province in Safrey, where he died of autoerotic asphyxiation. His body was found hanging from a decorative dragon tree in his junior suite, amid drug paraphernalia, unwholesome objects, and the Sylvia Trainer single, Wonderland, skipping in the background. And yes, you can take this as a metaphor for Revachol in the 30s, and also as a warning.
Okay. We're getting out of them. Someone's siphoning electricity from outside for the antenna.
In white, silver, and apricot faience, the young mother of humanism stands above you. A crack runs across her body. She is impossibly tall, oval-faced and sad, a dark and radiant majesty. This is her innocence, Dolores Day. Cradled in her arms are a pair of glowing lungs, clearly visible from underneath her flowing dress. Your knees touch the floor. The floorboards are hard and cold. There you kneel among the snowdrifts, diffuse light falling on your hands from beyond the glass.
Close your eyes first.
The world is silent, but for the creaks and cracks of the massive wooden structure behind you, it covers you from the wind outside.
Open your eyes.
The woman looks down at you kneeling. She towers among her followers, architects, laymen, courtiers. There is a sad smile on her lips, and a glint in her green-blue eye of what? Compassion? Remorse? She acknowledges the passing of someone who is still alive.
It's
As
compassion.
that soft word passes through your mind, the lieutenant draws an X-shaped cross from shoulder to shoulder.
Do the same as you get up.
Your fingertips touch your chest 4 times. Then you rise from your knees into the apricot-colored light of the window. Above you, the woman still smiles her distant smile, sundered by the crack in the glass.
This is Dolores D.
The old woman in the village was right. This must be the Delorean Church of Humanity in Martinez, or the small Pinewood Church in some records.
You know the place?
It's a minor landmark, not easy to find. Most maps misplace it. It was built not long after Revachol's founding, 300 or so years ago, by first-generation settlers.
On the coast of an uninhabited archipelago where only animals had roamed before, in the wild reeds.
What else do you know?
There used to be 7 stave churches on the coast. Les Sept Sœurs, they call them. The 7 Sisters. Only one remains. The rest were burnt in the revolution or used for building materials. We should be respectful here, although the building appears to be deserted. I do not believe we'll find anything connected to the lynching here. Something else, perhaps?
He looks at the machinery laying around.
Respectful? Is the lieutenant a follower of DeLoreanism?
Jim, are you a follower of Delorism?
Yes, we all are. Her name, body, and rule are synonymous with humanism. The laws we enforce are DeLorean in origin.
Stroke your chin
The
first.
woman looks by in silence, smiling enigmatically.
I didn't think you were
It's
spiritual.
not spiritual, it's constitutional. The DeLorean system does not demand faith, only accordance.
How did I know this was the mother of humanitism?
Despite the damage you've done to yourself, the title appears lodged in your hippocampus. This is her innocence, Dolores Day. The innocence of humanism, internationalism, and the welfare state. Perhaps the most famous human being ever to have lived. No amount of Commodore Red can wipe her sad smile from your brain thing. It has survived the deluge and haunts you still, and will haunt you forever, as it haunts all men.
Wait, what exactly is innocence? I've heard of that system.
The highest category of historic individual, an embodiment of the world spirit.
A ruler?
More, an innocence is elected to office by the founding party, a precedent that has taken place a mere 6 times in the entirety of history. The legal system of the Real Belt is built to accommodate an authentic rule should it coincide with our time. An innocence is infallible. The decisions made by one are not decisions. They are inevitabilities. What would have happened anyway? Only accelerated, packed into decades instead of centuries. An innocence is a continuous, compressed event, a sacred human being. It is an honor and a glory to live when one is in office.
Is one in office now?
No, we are alone.
Okay, when did she rule?
300 years ago, in the wake of the discovery of this Isola, the Insulindian, by explorers from the continent of Muindi. She is, among other things, the innocence of inter-isolary travel and the connected world.
What else do I know about
Many
her?
things. You know she was a woman of the court, the wife of an influential Marchese, and eventually the principal advisor to Irene La Navigateur, Queen of Suresnes, modern-day Sir La Clé. Also that she was gorgeous beyond beauty.
Okay, what else? Was she smart?
Terribly, women of the court were expected to play both contract bridge and chess sufficiently well to prove an interesting challenge to a man. A simple grasp in matters of philosophy, theology, and science was encouraged. She was, by all means, a kept woman. She made the most of her position in the Anti-DeLorean Court. A court visited by the most prominent thinkers and artists of the day. In secret, she was becoming the era's preeminent philosopher of the state. A scalpel, a piercing gaze. She was an almost preternaturally magnetic and intelligent individual. To her contemporaries, she appeared out of time, a messenger from the future of the species. We all fell in love with her, head over heels. Even before she was declared an innocence, her influence was tremendous.
How come?
It was on her advice that Irene, la Navigateur, sponsored a number of voyages into the Pale. A costly, often tragic endeavor, ultimately vindicated by the discovery of the new world, the piece of reality you're standing on. She was crowned 2 years after the first expedition returned, setting in motion what is widely considered the greatest era in history. The DeLorean era.
Wow.
Wow, indeed. When her innocence was declared, and the queen she had advised for years fell on her knees before her, she was so overcome with emotion that her lungs started glowing in her chest. Bystanders reported golden filaments lighting the already sunlit chamber around her, clearly visible beneath her dress. That is why the lungs are the symbol of love for the cultures of the Real Belt.
I want more.
As did we all. The lands of the Mesk and the Occident, and even faraway Supramawindi, altogether 21 of the 40 Mundial nations of the time, immediately accepted Innocentic rule, even before her crowning.
Her crowning?
In a city called Advesperaskit, in Vespa Messina, her homeland, the name of the city means evening comes, but it happened on a winter's morning, with the canals frozen and slush falling out of the sky. She was dressed in a white and pearl dress on an emptied-out plaza with the crowd far away. Already, her Theriers, the secret servicemen of the Innocents, were worried about an assassination attempt.
She must have been beautiful.
Oh yes, she looked like humanity's young mother, a perfect mother, insultingly beautiful. It was as if her face and shoulders and hands were covered in a soft down of underfeathers. You know this well, very well. Midwinter snow was beating the cobblestones around her. A small attaché of officials stood by as her Theriers placed a white gold wreath on her head. The crowning was mostly witnessed by Secret Servicemen.
Then what?
One of the men in the Secret Service killed her 22 years later. A young man who had come to suspect that Dolores Day was not entirely human, but something else.
What?
Something that had walked in our midst, watching us stumble for hundreds, if not thousands of years, until it decided to interfere in the course of our history. We were supposed to come up with this ourselves, the man was reported to have screamed at the Innocents. Dolores Day was shot in the chest with a fowling piece 8 times. The man, thought to be insane, said he once touched her and her body had been unnaturally warm, like a furnace, and that sometimes, while on duty, he observed her forgetting to breathe for over 10 minutes. This inhuman quality was witnessed by many others as well, glowing lungs and all. It is commonly attributed to mass hysteria and religious psychology.
Was there something terrifying about her?
Terrifying is a term too emotionally charged for your semantic memory, or what remains of it. But although she's often considered to be the greatest human being to ever live, there was something ominous about Dolores Day, constantly surrounded by her Theriers. She was the most socially secluded and least self-aware of all the Innocences. Some modern thinkers would consider her a war criminal for the campaigns she waged against the Mesk state. And then there were the resettlement programs.
What happened?
The Mesk state tried to detach itself from Innocentic rule. Parts of the world were experiencing whiplash from accelerated into secularism. Her mandatory education programs and mass resettlement of upstream Marguerite were problematic as well. Dissenters were suppressed by a military force she called the Army of Humanity, suggesting those who fight against it are not part of humanity. She adored chess, yes, but also military war games. Dolores Day often holds a tiny tin soldier between her index finger and thumb in icons such as this. She was also blonde, the blondest woman you have ever seen, with green eyes the color of the Pacific, mare interregnum. Little is known of her Marchese husband. It's as if he vanished from history after completing his role, which was to introduce Dolores Day to court. In conclusion, yes, there is something lonely, paranoid, and even terrifying that people seldom mention, but feel when they think of her. This subtle terror is part of her iconography.
Lieutenant Yefrater, you've stood there for over 5 minutes.
Lieutenant's calm voice echoes in the cold air of the church.
What are you thinking of, if I may ask?
She's beautiful.
That she is. A great sacred piece. I wonder what we are doing here, however.
He takes his glasses to
In
clean
this
them.
church, I mean. The coast in general. We shouldn't linger. This isn't a good place to get lost in.
Yeah. Reconstruct the cracked glass.
The shards glimmer in the dark. You see little pearls of light on the edges of the crack that splits the female figure. Something was written there. Remains of broken letters line the emulsion. What it said, you do not know.
Right. Crack of plain glass it came from the stained glass window, so as the letters on it. Let's check these shoes out. +1 empathy. Right. Those are the rope bells. Okay, so it's a new scarf. I feel we'll go with that. Frost was drawn, flowers on the grass obscuring the view. The figure in the frost on the grass is deciphered in a deer.
Is that a man? Looks more like part of the carpentry of the building came alive and is now studying you intently. The crab man.
Hey, who's
The
there?
man leaned forward a little, fixing you with a steady, unreadable gaze, then speaks.
Habitual alcohol use has made you into a scared little pussy, Holmes. But don't worry, everything's gonna be alright. You come to the right place.
That accent is Villalobos, a peninsula in Mesque and a district in general. There's a sizable contingent of Villalobos-speaking Mesques in Rivershoal.
Oh, the right place for
Here
what?
you can receive the mother's love. And when you're ready, she will take your hand and lift you out of the despair at the bottom of that bottle.
This man is obviously a habitual narcotics user. Do we really need to question him?
I'm put off by this religious stuff, he thinks. And maybe the ceiling climbing, too. It's all very hard to square with the lieutenant's own view of reality. Hey, and what was that about the bottle again? You haven't even drank that much lately. Lay off it already. Shish.
Yeah, I guess I have a bit of a problem, but it's been getting out of hand lately, but...
Está crudo, way. I see deep inside you. Your body and your spirit are suffering greatly from overindulgence, and you don't even know it.
Great, well, patronizing, it's original.
I know it's hard to admit that you got a problem. I was like you once. Couldn't take an honest look into my own heart and see I was in pain.
You know, actually, since we're here, you may want to pay attention to what the ceiling climber is saying.
For some reason, I feel like you have a point there.
Don't trust me. Trust the mother. I'm only the messenger, Holmes.
His voice echoes in the cold air of the
This
church.
is the Church of the Mother of Silence. You are welcome here.
He's very gently on the beams, waiting for you to take it all
You
in.
have no idea what the fuck he's talking about. Is he just trying to throw you off your game? Whatever it is, he's quite confident about it. Just look how gracefully he sways. 'Tis not an act, my liege. Saving perchance he hath deceived his very self. This man is a zealot.
You must be the crab man.
Never known myself to be a crab. But if that's the name you got for me, I won't stop you from using it.
Let's be fair, you're really more like a spider.
I always thought of myself more like a flame, flickering along the rafters and beams. It may be that I gotta work on my technique.
That's not the only technique he's working on. Look at those carved sculptures. And is that a satchel of tools over there?
Right, did you also carve all these sculptures? Point at the nearest pillar.
Sure am. Whittling wood used to be something I just did to busy my hands. Now I use those same hands in service of something greater than my own restlessness.
Rub your chin. You've got some nice curves going there.
It's all just for the mother, man. No need to overthink it.
What were you before you became a crab man and a wood carver?
I was in a gangway, but my memories of that time are fading. Most of them are already gone.
Shake your head. So many people losing their memories. A certain portent of doom.
Nah, ese, it's not like that. Best thing that could happen to you, losing your memory.
Do you remember your name, sir?
Tiago's my name, but those syllables don't mean much to me these days. A name isn't just your identity, but also, so to speak, your place amongst your fellows, your place in the world. I ain't got no use for such a place anymore.
My name is Harry. Extend your hand for a greeting.
That's just the thing, Holmes. None of that matters.
He nods your hand. He limps a mere shadow below the ceiling. Some ravers want to turn this place into a nightclub.
The ones in the tent outside, right? I see them. Guessing they're the ones who call me a crab. Probably scared of me.
Wait, do they have reason to be scared?
Nah, man. They look pretty funny. And I don't harm no one anymore. Anyway.
So what do you think about a nightclub that is?
Why not? They wouldn't bother me none. I'm usually way up there, imbibing. Ain't no music on earth that can reach where I go. Might even be nice to have some company.
Do you know where the other spooker is? Points at the strange machine around you.
Other spooker? Oh, esa viejita es muy estudiosa. Don't know, Holmes.
Viejita is Grandma?
Alright, so there is another person living in the church, and it's a Vita.
No. I just call her viejita because of her clothes. She's actually quite young. Or maybe not that young. Age is just one of the many masks we wear.
And you don't know where she is?
That's what I said, Holmes.
How do you not know where you both live when you both
Don't
live
really
here?
follow her comings and goings. Just see her typing on her computer now and then. We got different interests.
You've got nothing else to tell me. How she looks, what she does, who is she?
I'm afraid not, Essay. You just have to wait until she comes back, or...
He
Or
shrugs.
search through her radio computer.
Have you by any chance heard Vegeta say the password to a radio computer?
Too many times, Essay. You need it for something.
Surveys are a good way to fish for personal information, especially in the name of public safety.
I'm doing a survey of passwords and passcodes. Identify original trends in the interest of public safety, of course.
Don't sweat it, Vato. The password is afterlife death. What you think of that? Makes me almost pity La Nilita Pequeña when I hear it.
What are you doing here?
This is a special place. There's a perforation in the world up there. A way out into nothingness. This church was built around it for purposes of veneration. I circled it, nurtured by the silence bestowed by the mother. One of these days, I'll be pure enough to go drink from it directly.
The mother of silence, you mean point to the window?
No. There's a new god in town, and she can be painted or sculpted because she has no limb or even a face. She is the end. She is a cavity in the dark beyond sense. She saved me, but I couldn't describe her to you. No one can, Holmes, and
What,
no one ever will.
what will happen once you drink from this preformation?
I will be incinerated, but not destroyed. Finally, I won with the state of the world before reality began.
That sounds a bit like substitution behavior, no? You know a thing or two about that.
You sure you didn't just switch one drug for another?
It's not like that at all, man. It's just faith and joyful service.
Too gleeful, those words. He is lying. Not to you, to his very own self.
Faith is kind of a
I
drug.
heard that before, Way. And I know I can't convince you on the spot. But think, when's the last time you woke up from silent communion with a hangover, regretting what you did last night?
I think love may have been my drug of choice. I think I'm still hungover from it.
She took you for a good spin, huh? Don't worry, bro. That love is but a drop compared to the ocean of the mother's love. The mother will eat all of you and never spit you out.
I was being says sorry. Let's move on.
No worries, man. I know this shit takes time.
I still don't understand what you're doing in
I'm a
church.
seraph, Holmes. I sing the mother's glory.
Sing? Can you sing for me something?
I ain't from no Marietti, if that's what you're thinking. And the song I sing is silent as the mother.
Marietti is a mesque style of music and dance, commonly seen at all manner of festivities, especially weddings. It's delightfully quaint, owing to its peasant origins. He lost his cool there for a moment. Seems you hit some nerve.
How did you ever find this place, this church?
Hard to say. I think I did some construction work here, back when I still had material worries. Up there, I realized what the true purpose of the church was. Been spending a lot of time here ever since. The past is nothing to me now, Way. It didn't belong to me.
Are these yours? Show him the scarf and the shoes you found lying around.
I think they were. A long time ago. I had to shed them like skins. to get closer to the center of the silence. You could have them. I don't need them anymore.
They look pretty dapper, actually.
Right, I had other
The
questions.
sinewy figure lingers on the wooden beams, blending into the shadows.
You've been here a long time. Do you know why the church was abandoned?
Police raid a while back.
Who responds? His voice suddenly
Did you
flat.
witness it?
Not really. Or at least I don't remember much of it anymore. The mother's love has done its job. That's what's so great about the mother. It lets you forget about everything.
Oh yeah? Thanks.
I think we're done here, Essay.
That was an interesting conversation. However, I'm still not sure how it's relevant to our investigation.
Tremble. The time is now. Ta'ola.
What time?
Time for the show. For Ta'ola. The hallowed time of fear and disintegration. A countdown has begun. All will collapse on itself. The world will disappear into a single grain of blackness. All sound will be muted. All life will scream. Time for the show. For Ta'ola.
I
The
said, do you know what I'm
hallowed
going
time
to tell you
of
over?
fear.
What's that?
Ulogu Theodos. Xeno Zausin. Ipoli Osithian. Echondes Fronisin.
Wait, when did this countdown begin?
Monday morning. The moment you arrived in this reality are the first crack in the sheer face of God. From you it will spread.
This is because of the insane world ending up insane, isn't it?
Yes, you spoke the words of the Palindropos and the houses of Pericarnassus. Items, people, even words will tumble. All will lose its meaning in the coming years. That is why you marked yourself.
I'm sure it's not just some kind of joke or some kind of coping mechanism.
It's totally also a coping mechanism.
Oh, I'm a little afraid.
So you should be. The world island crumbles at your feet, and in the far plain, Palindropos. Perhaps, just a thought, this has something to do with the hangover.
I do think the world might end soon.
The face of the woman fractures. There will be herd killing. We all become vapor.
Okay, we got some new ones down here. Uh, 20 hours. Wow.
Hey, her Innocence Dolores Day liked little figurines, right? Liked holding little men between her fingers, remember?
What?
You have the headless Fallen Rider figurine. You should give it to her. Win her back.
I should, yes, this is task of mine now.
So very, very, very nifty. Nifty and mysterious. This is surely what the figurines are for.
No, he's gone. Okay, well, I'm gonna end this session here. As usual, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you guys again later. Bye.